Okay, good morning, evening, or afternoon, Sophia University students, MBA 3006, Dr. D. I want to thank you for all of the hard work you put in here over the first two modules. We are now on module three, where we will start to investigate international trade and global trade laws. This module will consist of the next 2 weeks, and you will read chapters 2, 9, and 10 in the textbook. There's some videos for you to watch, as well as your participation in weekly discussion boards and completing and submitting the research essay. Notice there that the chapter reading is still kind of embedded into the online classroom. So please just access the textbook via PDF, URL, or directly from the website itself. Chapter 2 deals with international trade and foreign direct investment. Often countries have specific laws that will determine the amount of foreign investment or outside investment that is allowed in that country. For example, some countries will have a certain ownership expectation that domestic businesses will have to be at least 51% owned domestically, and the other 49% can be either foreign owned or coming in from foreign direct investments. So those are the things that you want to look at, especially when we do deeper dives into the ethics of international trade. Chapter 9, you'll be dealing with exporting, importing, and global sourcing, which is really the lifeblood of all businesses these days. And then finally, in Chapter 10, you will read and investigate strategic and international business. Some really good articles in this module: ethical decision making, and EU digital policy and international trade. And as you can see here, as you begin to look at your module overview, you'll see that there are plenty of resources for both UK and EU law. For those of you that aren't familiar, the UK used to be part of the EU until a couple of years ago they came up with this idea called Brexit, which many of you may have heard of, and that was the UK breaking away from the EU. By the way, just for a point of order, if you were to go back and look at the history of both the EK and EU, and technically there wasn't even an EU back then. Most of Europe were all separate countries. It wasn't until the formulation of the European Union, the EU, that at the time included the UK, the United Kingdom, also known as England. And so after, I would say, a decade, maybe even a decade and a half, don't quote me on the timeline, but a couple of years ago, the UK decided to break away from the EU, and that's where you get the term Brexit. That's why we have uh, two different sets of laws, rules, and regulations for both the UK and the EU. Okay, so for the discussion board for week 5, you will investigate international labor organization standards. And really, what I want you to do there is I want you to compare and contrast the ILO and the WTO standards. And in your discussion board posting, you're going to provide some relevant examples from case studies to support your analysis, as well as peer review and legal evidence. In week 5, you also have an article summary. So you're going to click through on the article, How to Develop Ethical Leaders. After you finish reading the article, you're going to write your 4-point summary, right? Your summary of the main points of the article, uh, the emphasize or re-emphasis on the main concepts and guidelines, especially as it relates to ethical guidance. The summary must be in your own words, meaning that it must be paraphrased. And then it needs to be about 2 to 3 pages, not including your title page and your reference page. And with that being said, I just want to give you kudos on making the adjustments. Since our last live session, your submissions have been very well structured. The formatting has been very good, and you've done a good job of integrating the case study or the article into your analysis. So please keep that up in week 5 and in week 6. In week 6, the discussion board article is you're actually going to watch an article. Excuse me, you're going to watch a video. And the video is the contain approach to business ethics, organizations as moral communities. And then you're just going to discuss your impressions in narrative form as it relates to personal ethics behavior. I would love to see you start incorporating more transpersonal psychology and more transpersonal conventions into your analysis. If you haven't done so already, this week 6 discussion board is an excellent opportunity for you to do that. Remember, on all of your discussion board assignments, please provide examples from relevant business cases and or support from peer review or legal evidence to support your analysis. You'll start moving in earnest into your team projects in week 6 if you haven't done so already. Part of your second discussion board posting is for you to post an individual elevator speech explaining the ethical dilemma of your case study and the sustainable component or problem from your case study article. So even though you are in teams, the responsibility is for each individual team member to post a 90-second elevator speech. So if there's 3 members of your team, each one of your members need to post a excuse me. Each member of your team will need to post an individual video. And then finally, here in week 6, you'll read the article Trade Between Two Unequal Partners, and then you're going to walk through your 4-step Rock Institute approach to analyzing your article. You're going to state the nature of the ethical issue that you've spotted. You're going to list the relevant facts. You're going to identify the stakeholders, and you're going to clarify the underlying values. Remember, these individual ethics research essays are preparing you individually for what needs to happen in your larger group setting, which is you bringing that individual skill set to the group uh, teamwork table. And then as a team, you begin to conduct this type of analysis on your larger case study. And of course, we can talk more about that when we get together later on in August. I believe it is let's just get the date there. Yeah, so for this class, and this is for the summer of 2023, we'll be connecting on Saturday, August 26th. Just in case you're listening to this video and you're not in that summer class, just check the date on when we are connecting for our second live session. Okay, thank you very much for the hard work. As usual, please reach out to me with any questions, comments, or concerns. I am here to support you all the way through the process.